Oh, it's the motivator here. Yeah, it's been one of those mornings. Exciting morning, I might add. But it's been truly an inspirational experience. Welcome to the Motivator Show. This is where we translate our words into action and where success is ours for the taking. And be assured that it is indeed the case. Today, we have another inspirational podcast. We'll address the issues of today, not filtered through the big media, not filtered through politicians who have their own agenda, but by ordinary people able to reflect upon their circumstances, their direct experience of the issues of today. And today's podcast, in approximately 30 minutes' time, will address the issue of the recent bombing of Nigeria by American military forces. The reason for those bombings will be assessed. The veracity of the statement made by the 47 presidents will also be assessed. The impact of the military action will also be resolved by my distinguished panel of distinguished Nigerians. It will be truly an inspirational experience. Be assured, be assured. So between now and then, there are a few of obviously, this is the Motivated Show, public announcements, important issues to raise with you, so you are aware that we take these matters seriously. And I say again, inspiration is our word, because this is where we translate our words into action and where success is absolutely ours for the taking. Okay. Let's get into it, shall we? Let's get into it. So, this is our first podcast for 2026. And during this year, we are definitely going to improve and increase our cadence, the frequency, the number of podcasts that we transmit each week. So watch this space. It'll be truly exciting. We've got a whole list of important guests who will inform and inspire, motivate you to do better for yourself, your family, and your wider communities and networks. And together we will transform the world. Oh yeah. Yes, I am feeling very good, very good. So before I begin, I just want to mark, of course, 2026. Okay, 2026, I anticipate will be an auspicious year. Mhm. There'll be great events, a series of events that will occur this year. Okay, that's my predictions. Um, some will be unsettling. There is no doubt about that. Others, of course, will be most welcome. Okay. So watch this space. We'll report as far as we can on the issues of today. So be aware, it is happening, and we are assuring you we'll be there on the front line reporting to you what is actually happening, as opposed to what is filtered through these other places. Let's get into it, shall we? Let's get into it. Those of you, of course, who reflect upon 2025 will be aware that we've organized a series of panel discussions to reflect upon 2025. They will be transmitted midweek, either Tuesday or Wednesday of each week. So you are able to reflect upon with us 2025 and its significance to us as a people, a single species, a single race of people. Reflect upon them and learn from those experiences, whether it's a direct experience or by proxy. Because if we all learn together, we have the opportunity to transform. And that transformation if it's thought and it's sensitive, thoughtful and sensitive, will improve the human condition. Yeah, just be ambitious, huh? We want to improve the human condition. Mhm. Despite the differences, which are generally superficial differences, okay, circumstantial differences, we remain one species. Mhm. I know, I get it, I get it. I understand the unsettling part of this. Understand. But we remain one species, one race, one human race, if you like. Mhm. If in doubt, ask questions. There you go. So this section of the show, I don't have a opportunity to reflect upon past guests. This is the first episode, the first podcast for 2026. So I'm going to take the opportunity to address the issues with it being a consistent issues for this podcast. And that's of course the issue of our health and well-being. And just spend just a few minutes on lifestyle messages. But I have to reflect upon 2025. There have been many, many passings of peoples during that time. Okay. Some are circumstantial, others, of course, others, of course, others, of course, are direct result of, well, us not being sufficiently sensitive to the needs of ourselves. Okay. And it is true, and it is very challenging that unless we get this right, uh, our lives are shortened. So we've inserted into each of our live podcasts lifestyle messages. And I want you to hear the words of an expert. Just a few minutes, 2 minutes, listen to the words of an expert. His recommendations that we can live a longer, healthier life by improving our lifestyle. I want to insert this into our dialogue straight away so it's clear and it's unambiguous. As we started, we mean to go forward. We want to help you to take care of yourself. So I want you to hear these lifestyle messages. If in doubt, ask questions. Okay. Listen to the professor. Professor Kevin Fenton says, I'm a public health director. Here are 5 things you can do to improve your health. 1. Mindful and balanced eating. Nourish wisely. Eat whole, balanced meals with awareness to support energy and well-being. 2. Get outside. Be with nature. Time outside reduces stress, improves mood, and strengthens your connection to the world. 3. Stay curious, stay engaged, explore new interests, keep your mind sharp, build social contacts, and boost your happiness. 4. Get active, move it or lose it. Move daily, lift weight, and do cardio. Exercise, improve physical, mental, mood, and energy. 5. Prioritize rest and sleep. Disconnect, rest. Quality sleep supports mental clarity, emotional balance, and overall health. Very simple messages, huh? Very simple messages. And if you can implement his recommendations into your consciousness and it becomes an integral part of your lifestyle, I'm assuring you that you will have a longer, more fruitful life. Yeah. Common sense advice is what he's delivering here. Um, who am I? Who are we to contradict it? It is sound and is proven to be correct. So this is the Motivator Show, because we recognize you have the ability to transform your lives. We're here to both inform and to empower so you can make good decisions for yourself. Because together we can, indeed, we will transform the world. Okay? Because these simple messages have a ripple effect both within your family, within your immediate networks, and indeed the wider network, and then the wider society. Because we are all change makers. Yeah? We are all change makers. It is our responsibility to seek better for ourselves, our families, and the wider communities. We are all change makers. You can transform. You don't need others. You can transform the world. I've said this many times. What I'm heartened by, the numbers of you who've heard these messages, understood their importance to you, personally to you, to your loved ones, to those around you, to your wider network, and have started to come together in common aim and common purpose, recognizing that your health is your highest wealth. And in doing so, you can transform your prospects. There is no financial gain from the motivator, let me tell you, there's no financial gain. But the gain is the pleasure in knowing that you've heard these messages and you've improved the quality of your life. So what I'm heartened by, the numbers of you who heard these messages and have responded, I would play for you a short video, no more than 2 minutes, of people who've come together in common aim and common purpose, okay? This video will be the last time you see this version of it, okay? But I want you to note they've come together, they've pulled their resources, hired a hall, and they're exercising together. Yep. This is the fundamental reason for the Motivator Show, that we provide good quality information that motivates you towards action. You collaborate with others to make a better self, a better world. We will transform the world. Watch this video and please don't just sit there or stand there and watch. Participate. This is for you. Oh, yes. Let's participate this time. There you go. Just bend your knees. That's it. That's right. That's right. Bend your knees. Stretch your arms. That's right. Positive mental attitude. That's right. You've got it. That's right. You can see them. That's right. Absolutely. There you go. Good. Oh, I can feel my knees. They're big and they're small, they're different and wide, but they've come together, common aim and common purpose, recognizing their health is the highest wealth. We can and will collaborate. Whether you be Christians or Muslims, yeah? Yeah? Whether you be Islam or Europe, whether you be Hausa or Mandi, we come together in common aim, with common purpose. That's right. We teach the children. There you go. Oh, that's right. Just a few minutes of this. That's right. Make all the difference. Let's come together in common purpose. Recognize they exercise together. Unify in unity with strength. Exercise together. We're making learn together. That's right. Your health is your highest wealth. Exercise together. Oh, so good. There you go. There you go. That's right. Come on now, open your ears. Don't just watch. That's right. Only 30 seconds more. That's right. That's it. That's right. Wonderful. Wonderful. There you go. I'm going to pause there. Don't you worry. I'm going to pause it there. You understand the importance of why these lifestyle messages are so important. We are communicating to you that there's far too many people all weighed down by illnesses, far too many people dying before their term. But we help each other work together, regardless of your religious background, regardless of your tribal affiliation, regardless of your clan or your social class, your education. If we work together, we can and will create a better world. We, you are the change makers. As King Kabbalah of the African Continental Unity Party would say, you are the change makers. It's our responsibility to do better for ourselves, for our families, and our wider networks. It has that, as I say, ripple impact. All right. And I hope you would agree with me that that is absolutely the way forward. If we all take care of each other, the world will be a transformed environment. There you go. Thumbs up, thumbs up, thumbs up, thumbs up. And if you haven't subscribed to our YouTube channel, please do so. It really does help us to spread the word. Thumbs up. Thank you, thank you, thank you. We've got 10 minutes before we get to the main, truly inspirational panel discussion on the bombing in Nigeria. There's just three other or four other issues I want to raise before now and then, very quickly. And I know you will understand. This is the motivator here. And therefore, these campaigning issues are vital if we want to improve the human condition. And the first issue I want to bring to your attention, and I know some of you would acknowledge this straight away, and I've said this on a few occasions, but I must say it right away that the whole purpose of the Motivator Show is to bring those issues to bear, issues that many of us don't want to talk about, but impact the communities in ways, indeed, quite profound ways. And the issue that I have brought up previously, and I will bring up, and it'll be my first issue for the year, and that's the issue of FGM, and that is female genital mutilation. Okay. You recall last year we conducted 4 shows where we addressed the issue of FGM. Yeah. This is where our women and girls are mutilated. I know in some communities it is argued to be an act of purification or seen as being a cultural tradition. Okay. And I hear you, and I indeed respect you. I am obliged to assert that I've spoken to far too many women, or whilst they accept it as being a part of their immediate community's tradition, mhm, that there is concern of the negative health consequences of FGM, female genital mutilation. Mhm. Yes, it's my first issue of the year that I bring to your attention. I believe that we men, and I'm going to just talk to the men for the moment, do our women injustice in this regard. These are practices that remove the part of a woman's body in ways that are, oh, I cannot even contemplate in my mind's eye. Okay. And I have to say, and I'm not part of a community where this is a tradition, but I've come in contact with hundreds of women for whom it is a tradition and for whom there have been lifelong consequences. Now, if I've got it wrong, I'm particularly interested to speak to the men who would argue that FGM is a cultural tradition that they wish to preserve. Mhm. And if that is so, I invite you to reach out to us here at the Motivator Show. We'd love to talk to you directly. There you are. You have the email address on the screen. There you are. So the email address is themotivatorshow501 at gmail.com. I'd love to hear particularly from men who argue that FGM, female genital mutilation, is justifiable on cultural or traditional grounds. We would love to hear from you. Okay, uh, we're not going to castigate you. We're not going to, not doing any of that. But we want to talk to you because we need to better understand what is going on here. Okay, so that's the email address. Let me put it up on the screen because I've got a close friend of mine, a great human being. Her name is Councillor Naima Ali, and she is an FGM survivor. Okay, she's someone who I've learned to greatly respect. Her intelligence, her, her compassion, and her determination. And I pause because her courage in speaking up on these subjects is commendable. She's a former mayor of Southwark here in London. Okay. I'm going to put her details, there you are, on the screen. There you go. All right. She's a former mayor, but I still call her the mayor of Southwark. I know. But she's the founder of Unshackled Duma. Unshackled Duma is based here in London. It empowers women and girls, particularly from black and so-called, here in this country, minority ethnic communities and Muslim communities. The organization is devoted to promoting self-empowerment and autonomy and advocacy. Okay. That's what it's devoted to. And let's just emphasize why that's important. And see, I pause here because it's really important for you all to understand the significance of this initiative. Okay. I'm going to say it again. The organization is devoted to promoting self-empowerment, autonomy, autonomy and advocacy with a strong emphasis on combating female genital mutilation, FGM. It raises awareness about FGM's harmful impacts and supports survivors and work toward eradicating the practice. I really invite those men who advocate for FGM to reach out to us. But if you're a woman, or indeed a man, that seeks support, yep, here you go. Send your messages to unshackled Duma, followed by digit2 at gmail.com. unshackleduma, followed by digit2 at gmail.com. I know that Councillor Naima Ali will be pleased to receive your contact. As I say, a tremendous human being, a great human being. There's so many women I've come in contact, and she's one of them. Great human beings, compassionate, determined, intelligence. Mhm. Oh, yeah. That combination will mean that she can influence others to do better for women and girls worldwide, particularly from Africa and indeed parts of Asia, where this practice still continues. More than 250 million women and girls are affected by this, and still millions every year are undergoing the practice. Yes, it's one that we need to discuss. And I know it's a surprising subject for me to be the first subject of the year, but I'm just very sensitive. The women I've spoken to and feel only able to speak to someone from outside of their immediate community on the subject who would not judge them, but hear their heartfelt testimony of the effect, physical and psychological effect of FGM on their lives. Yes, men, I want to speak to you. Please, men, please don't be shy. I know, I know. We just gonna have a discussion. So it's the Motivator Show, 501 at gmail.com. Love to hear from you. Love to hear from you. Okay, there you are. The second issue that I want to bring to your attention, and this is one, and I hope you allow me some leeway on this one, because it affects the land of my birth, the land that I was taken from as a baby, okay, before being brought to Britain. Okay. That's, of course, the land of Jamaica in the Caribbean. Okay. It would hit for the second year in a row by a major hurricane. In 2024, it was hit by Hurricane Beryl, Category 4 hurricane. It did significant damage. Last year, Jamaica was hit by a Category 5 hurricane. This time it's named Melissa. Mhm. And caused significant damage across the island. Significant damage. There are hundreds of thousands of people who remain destitute, without home, and are living from hand to mouth because their entire worldly possessions have been destroyed by this hurricane. I urge you, those of you who can give, to give. Do not hold back. Jamaicans are not responsible for climate change. I repeat, Jamaicans are not responsible for climate change. The Caribbean islands are not responsible for climate change, but they are suffering, adversely suffering the impact of climate change, which its origin is here in Britain, in the United States of America, in Europe, in Japan. That's where the origins of this problem arises from. A problem that will remain with us for hundreds of years, unfortunately, until climate change is seen truly as an international priority. And there's significant efforts to reduce the emission of atmospheric warming gases. It is really important. So the island of Jamaica has been adversely affected for the second year in a row. We can only hope it will not be a third year. 2026 will not be a third year. But there's good people here who have been given, and we want to thank every last one of you who have given. We want to thank each one of you. But there are organizations out there who are devoted to supporting people in Jamaica who've lost all their livelihoods and where public buildings have been destroyed, lost their roofs or completely destroyed. An organisation here in the UK is called PMP UK. Okay, let me put their details up in front. There you are. In fact, let me put the other one up, shall we? I'll put that one up in a second. It's important that you hear a few messages before I go to the main interview, but I just want to put this message up, and this message is from a good friend of the Motivator Show who was here only a few strongs ago. His name is Lee Jasper. Okay. And he had a message for us all to take note. Okay. He had a key message for us. And I'll put it on the screen now. And Lee, wherever you are, well, if you're watching this, great. If you're not, I hope you're okay. I hope you're okay. 'Cause I know that it's been a tough time. Just listen to his message in respect of the British government and British government's contribution to Jamaica.
Hey family, my name's Lee Jasper. I'm a veteran activist here from London, England. And I just want to talk about Hurricane Melissa and the British government and the UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer's response to that hurricane. Family, look, Jamaica and areas of the Caribbean are on its knees. People are desperate, homeless, unable to access medical supplies and treatment. Children are left homeless because their grandmother's house has been completely obliterated. People are unable to go to school. People have no valid forms of employment. And all Britain can offer is £7 million. I mean, it's a disgusting insult to the Jamaican community. And we should be very clear in terms of what our response should be. I'm not sure what we're supposed to say, but thank you to Keir Starmer for 7 million change. I could find more change down the back of this sofa than Starmer seems to have found for Jamaica. And just imagine, people, we spent 20 billion on war for the Ukrainians, 20 billion. And we opened our doors, as we should have done, to victims of war who needed a safe evacuation. But we have exactly the same scenario with people in Jamaica and other areas of the Caribbean, whereby they're homeless, they've got no form of valid long-term employment, they're living on emergency package. Those of us who are in the United Kingdom, who have relatives throughout the Caribbean, should be able to relax our humanitarian visa laws and bring them here so they can have quiet convalescence and respite, care and attention from their families here in the United Kingdom, whilst Jamaica is rebuilding and they can return after that. So we're calling for two things, family, and need your 100% support on this, because once all the Christmas and the emergency stuff has died away, Jamaica is still going to be in a problem, and probably even a bigger problem if the rumoured health outbreaks and epidemics break out as a consequence of lack of sanitation and clean water. And so I'm calling on you to support our petition. You might be able to see the QR code there if I just move to the side. Here is the QR code. Hope it's visible. If not, maybe I can make it more visible. Here is the QR code. All you have to do is put that into your phone and sign the petition. We also have a done one meeting in Brixton. We're doing another in Tottenham Hale, and we're having another hurricane emergency meeting in Wales, Manchester, as well as Preston. And why are we doing this, family? Because we think we need a national lobby of Parliament on Prime Minister's Question Time to take 5,000, 6,000 of us to Parliament to press the Prime Minister and your individual MP to increase aid to Jamaica, as Dawn Butler's already written in The Guardian to that effect, and we're fully supportive and behind that. To talk to your Prime Minister and MP and lobby them to relax the visa control. How is it that an 8-year-old child whose parents live in the United Kingdom and who was living with her grandmother in Jamaica is denied visa entry on humanitarian grounds to the United Kingdom? But that's what the latest stories we're seeing coming out of The Guardian and other news outlets. So we need a national lobby. Give Jamaica much more aid, 7 million, make that 50 million. How about that? How we make it 50 million pounds next year that the UK government gives to Jamaica to recover. Humanitarian visa restriction? Yes, so that we can give people respite. Because our family, they're our community. And we're here suffering the anxiety of not knowing we can help, but we can't get them into the country. So I'd ask you to support our call on the Prime Minister to increase aid and relax visa applications. And finally, family, this is going to happen every year with increasing intensity. So Britain and the West, as the major polluters, must pay. They must pay recompense for climate justice in those countries, or else otherwise, 2 hurricanes of Melissa's size in over a period of 18 months, as we saw with Beryl and Melissa, would just leave the island completely unsustainable and devastated. Britain must pay more. Britain owes more. Jamaica helped build this country, and they're giving us 7 million. When I take it. And I'm asking you to organise mobilising meetings in your local community area so we can take thousands of our community in the new year to the Houses of Parliament to lobby on behalf
of Jamaica. Thank you, Lee. That was well said, well said. And hopefully those of you who were able to see the QR code can scan it again. In fact, what I'll do, I'll put it up on the screen again for you, just so that you've got it. There you are. Let's support this campaign. It's extremely important. The British government should give more to Jamaica. Britain is the start of the Industrial Revolution. This is where all this pollution comes from. It's now having global impact. Yes, Britain should pay more. 50 million. Lee is quite right. In fact, we need to get him back here in the studio. He has written an incredible article, which I want to comment on in a future episode of The Motivator Show. We'll get him back here and we'll go through his article together. And I'm assuring you, we will all be well read after reviewing his article. Again, if you can give to Jamaica, let me put the correct, there you go. Hurricane Melissa, PNP UK is seeking donations. If you can donate, we would welcome that. It's People National Party UK, bank is NatWest Bank, sort code 600802, account number 2986123. And if you put in the reference DRF Melissa, then we know exactly why that money's arrived there. And we will ensure that you receive regular updates as how those resources have been spent. It's currently focused on a school in Jamaica. More details will be forthcoming in the coming weeks and months. And together, we will make the difference. All righty. Now, I paused there on the announcement. There are a few others here, but for now, I'll pause on the announcements. I know many of you are here because you want to understand how we have debated the bombing in Nigeria, Africa's most populous country. A continent, I might add, whose population trajectory is very steep. Okay. It is anticipated that by 2050, that there'll be approximately 1.5 to 2 billion Africans in Africa, and potentially by the end of this millennium, there'll be more than 3,000 Africans, the highest concentration of human population on the planet. Okay. The economic revival, economic catalyst that Africa offers to the world will be tremendous. Great potential exists there. But between now and then, there is great peril. Okay. And this is what we need to understand. Because we receive information through various information resources. Okay. And those resources have their places, of course. But obviously, we all know that depending upon the owners of those news channels, information is, well, adjusted. It is neutered and appropriate, it is felt. Mhm. Here on the Motivator Show, we'll be devoted to always speaking to those on the front line, those who are the recipients, who are directly impacted by the experience, by the issue. And today, we've taken the trouble to speak directly to Nigerians from different parts of Nigeria, okay, so that we can obtain a first-hand, authentic account of what has happened in Nigeria. So we've been able to do some preparation for this and produce a recording for you, okay, which we hope you would appreciate. And forgive us, at some point the sound is a little uncertain, but nevertheless, I believe the points that are made by the guest are being heard. Okay, are being heard. Okay. But if in doubt, ask questions. Okay, and if you haven't subscribed to our YouTube channel, I would urge you to do so. It really would help us out. Okay, it really would help us out. But between now and our next discussion on the future of Nigeria, and I want to point out the next episode of the Motivated Show, will again focus on Nigeria. Because Nigeria, just like the Sahel countries, are important. Mhm. At this point, I want to take the opportunity to bow my head in respect to His Excellency President Ibrahim Traore of Burkina Faso, and indeed the leaders of Niger and Mali, and say respect to you all, respect to you all. The leaders of Ghana, respect to you. The leader of a remarkable woman who I wish I could interview, of Namibia, respect to you, respect to you. Oh yeah. These are countries we need to watch. Because they're just displaying that courage, that determination that I mentioned earlier in regards to my friend Counselor Naima Halley. True intelligence and compassion, a desire to transform. But let me now move to this panel discussion. I want you to hear and watch this. Okay, it will be incredibly important for you to observe. Okay, and I say again, and I'll keep emphasizing this: if in doubt, ask questions. Okay, do not sit there and wonder. Okay, or feel powerless, because that's a luxury we cannot afford. I've got to tell you, that's a luxury we cannot afford. We are all powerful. I know you don't hear that very often, huh? Because we've taught the propaganda that individual is not powerful, but we together are powerful. Okay, but that requires a consciousness. It's not the power is not confined to ethnicity. Power is not confined to religious affiliation. Power is it's not purely confined to education. What it is confined to is your conviction, your self conviction, your determination for better. Mhm. That's what it's confined to. Okay. I pause there. I want you to take on board. But I know for many, it is uncomfortable. Okay. Because you have been taught that you are powerless. And what we're doing by in accident, that way, it's accidental. What we do accidentally is empower those who do not deserve that level of respect. Okay. So I'm going to put on the screen this incredible panel discussion. Okay. This panel discussion of distinguished Jamaicans, indeed, Nigerians. I can hear the Nigerians now. I know, I almost said it. Of Nigerians. Okay. We're related. Huh? We're related. Huh? But in all seriousness, it was a truly thoroughly experience. It was a thorough experience. And one I want to share with you. We had just over 2.5 hours discussion. I'll play a 1 hour excerpt from it. Okay. The remainder will be part of a podcast that will be transmitted on Wednesday of this week. Okay. And that, of course, means that it will be truly an inspired podcast. We'll fill in the gaps and we'll provide you with the reference points so you will leave that podcast truly informed, indeed, truly empowered. But for today and for now, watch this interview. And I know you will agree with me that this was truly an inspired experience. There we go. Let's do this. Here we go. This is the Motivator Show. This is where we translate our words into action and where success is ours for the taking. This could be yet another inspirational panel discussion. Issues affecting Africa and the Caribbean. But for today's panel discussion, we will review a most recent event that occurred on the 25th of December, no less. Yes, on the 25th, there were bombs raining down in northern Nigeria. The 47 presidents of the United States of America proclaimed that this was to reduce the impacts of killings against Christians in northern and indeed other parts of Nigeria. And that was the reason for his sending in the planes, the bombs, into northern Nigeria. Mm-hmm. But in other places, his colleagues assert the reason for the bombing is in fact not necessarily just for Christians, but in fact to reduce killings in Nigeria generally, because primarily these insurgent groups are affecting primarily the Hausa and indeed the Fulani communities. They are largely suffering the consequences of these insurgency into northern Nigeria. And we're going to look at this in our panel discussion to better understand what is going on, why this happened, and for us to have a view, an African-centric view of this event. So today, I have two Nigerians who are ready and able to respond to our question here, us of the diaspora, yeah? Our questions, and respond to them directly. Yeah? Ye who feels it, knows it. And as Nigerians, they feel it. They know it. This is truly could be yet another inspirational podcast. So let me start with my guest. First of all, Oluyemi, can I ask you please to introduce yourself? Say your name, organization, and once you've done that, I'm going to ask you please, as this is the first podcast for 2026, I'm going to ask you please to share with us a seminal moment, an important moment that happened to you in 2025. Okay, over to you, Oluyemi. Please introduce yourself and organization.
Yeah, thank you very much, my wonderful host. My name is Comrade Olayemi Olabode. I reside in Nigeria. and I belongs to few of the wonderful movement. One in Nigeria which is called Movement of the People (MOP), where we are
Mm,
working on how we need to rearrange and restabilize this country because
mm,
many things happen in Nigeria. And at the same
mm.
time, I belongs to a global resources company, which is a GAC, Global
Mhm.
African
Yes.
Congress, which is GAC, and one of the let me say one of the active members, which we are working together also for the Pan Africanist and how respiration can be a better thing across the country. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you. Now, before you go, though, before we move on, I would ask you, though, can you share with us a seminal moment, an important event or activity that occurred in 2025 that for you really set the tone for 2025? Share with us an important event or activity that occurred in 2025.
Thank you very much. The event that is wonderful and crucial to me that
Mhm.
happens in 2025 is when the Nigeria National Electoral Committee, let me just put it like they failed to register the movement of the people. So we
Mhm.
have to emerge with my potential secretary and every state coordinator from all over Nigeria, where
Mhm.
we have to march to their office. That happens in December 6th. So on getting there, we have so many challenges, so many discussions, so many, even there are a lot of disrespect. And at the same time, there are a lot of things that would have discouraged us, which we did not give a room because the movement has been there since 1979, which was established by Bella Nicola Kuti, and then they
Mhm.
failed to register the movement for that long year and
Yes.
still having the same issue at this time. Why? Because
Mhm.
they believe if such a movement could become a political party in Nigeria, there will be a drastic change and serious effective change will be happening in the country. So, and that's why they were looking for a way to avoid being a political party. So, and
Mhm.
since then, we have been working. Well, the movement make a very serious movement that very period, and it was impactful. So the
Yes.
joy there is we're able to speak with the National Electoral Election Committee Secretary, and
Mhm.
we are expecting their feedback later this January, so that once we become a political party, we'll be able to sensitize our people, liberate them from this hardship and the lack of understanding of how Nigeria will have been the best country so far in this Africa.
Yes. Well said. Well said. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for that.
You're welcome.
Keep up the good work. Be determined. Never, never give up. Oh yes. Well
Thank
said.
you very
Well
much.
said. Thank you. Thank you. Can I ask my second guest, Mubarak, if you could please introduce yourself, say your name, the organization that you are associated with, and also share with us a seminal moment, an important event that occurred to you in 2025. Go ahead, please, sir.
All right, thank you, Martins, for the introduction. My name is Dr. Mubarak Chukur. I work in the Department of History and Security Studies at Umaru Musa Eradua University, Katsina, in northern Nigeria.
Mm-hmm.
I'm happy to be here with you in this podcast to share my own view.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the moments I can share for the last year, 2025, is like a coincidence of attending an international conference in Berlin in July last year at the Catholic Academy, whereby I presented a paper on religious tolerance in Nigeria.
Mm-hmm.
And it is a gathering that brought people from different faiths, the Christians, the Muslims, the Jews.
Yes.
And I think it was a conference which was solely cut across people from different continents, people from Asia, people from the US, and many parts of the world, but having different faiths. So we reflected on issues that are burning, including the October 7th Jews crisis, 2024. So I think these are things that continue to shape my academic engagements at both local and international forum, that up to today, it has been manifested into different ways in Nigeria, which I think your introduction, you have made mention of the 25th September US strike.
Okay.
Yeah, I think
I'm going to get onto that right now, if I may, and I'm going to stay with you, if I may. So, of course, before we get to the strike, I want to create some context for the benefit of the audience, for those who are not informed at this point. Okay, so the airstrikes on the 25th of December, of course, is the other end of a sequence of events. Okay, and I want to go back just a few years, if you don't mind, back to 1974. Now, there was a notorious Kissinger report. Now, Henry Kissinger was at the time the Secretary of State, or like the Foreign Minister of the United States of America. And of course, Richard Nixon was the president at that time. The whole purpose of the report was to do an assessment of Africa and its likely development, and the accessibility of the natural resources that was critical to America continue to create its incredible wealth. Yeah? And the report, therefore, made assessment of the food output. Okay, it made assessment of the natural resources to be found across the continent, and most certainly in Nigeria, with a specific focus on oil, uranium, copper, iron, and so on. Okay. It also made an assessment of the political situation in those countries as well. Okay. But the report is notorious because reading between the lines that many commentators have tended to do with respect to these reports is that the reports seem to infer that it's in the Americans' interest that Africa remains underdeveloped. Okay. And therefore, it would mean that Africa will be a supplier of resources to the community, to the world, rather than a utilizer of these resources. And again, in the case of Nigeria, it's primarily oil, for example. Okay. Now, is that a reasonable assessment of that report, Baba?
Martins, this is a very good.
We assembled here today are issuing a new decree to be heard in every city, in every foreign capital, and in every hall of power. From this day forward, a new vision will govern our land. From this day forward, it's going to be only America first. America first.
This is a very good summation you are making here.
Okay.
You see, we cannot analyze things without going back to the history memory.
Mm-hmm.
It can't be a history. You see, the 1974 Kissinger report was a replica of what is happening currently.
Mm. Okay.
Exactly, because when you talk of 1970, in fact, it's because if you look at the period of 1970s generally, it's a period when most of African countries got wealth at that time. If you take it from Nigeria, where you have the oil boom, in fact, the oil boom happens in the 1970s, 72, 73, 74, up to 1975. And that was the reason when even the government got money and doesn't know what to do with the money. When you talk about the uranium here, if you look at it, the larger percentage of uranium from West Africa is coming from the Nigerian Republic.
Yes, yes.
And also this moment, the Nigerian Republic could not have a total control of the uranium they have. So extending of oil issues, oil politics to Libya, I think this is something that is already on the pipeline. So the 1974 report of the Kissinger report was if you can say, if you call it maybe notorious or deliberate, I think the US have already forecasted that the continent is not developed. But what were their role in the development of the continent? I think that's another question we should ask ourselves.
Yes.
I told you, like, if you take, for example, Nigeria has some oil companies, that's indigenous oil companies, like the Nigerian National Petroleum Company. But how long has the Nigerian National Petroleum Company, walk side in side with the Shell, which is an American company? So, from the right of the British oil exploration in Nigeria, the Shell had been in existence in Nigeria up to this hour. And no one can tell you the exact number of barrels that were being exploited daily in Nigeria. The Shell is only given a figure that they feel they want the country to know. I cite that Libya is rich. It's an oil-rich country with a very small population. But now, if you take the American influence in Libya as well as in Nigeria, then you have to take it back to Shell. The Shell has been always a defining factor of the Nigerian oil. At a point in time, the crude oil in Nigeria will be exported to the US and bringing back a refined product back to Nigeria. It's only the last 2025 that we have a turning point, whereby for the first time the country is now refining its crude oil through a private sector, the Dangote refinery. And that has also changed the entire oil politics within the oil cabals.
If I may ask a question,
it has already shaped the entire country.
If I may ask a question here, it's and I understand where you're vectoring towards. I understand, but the report itself was assessing whether or not it was in the Americans' interest to allow these countries to develop. The Americans were primarily concerned with the supply of oil for America. It wasn't expressing concern to develop a strategy to develop Nigeria as a oil exporter, or indeed to develop the country Nigeria. It was primarily concerned with American interest. And it was making an assessment as to whether or not it was in the Americans' interest that Nigeria was allowed to develop, as America has developed over 200 to 300 years. Bearing in mind
Martins, that is why I've told you that.
Okay.
Yeah, that's why I told you that it was this policy of this report that deliberately kills our refineries. It was this policy, it was this report that deliberately kills our refineries. From Kaduna refineries to Port Harcourt to Warri refineries, these refineries stopped working overnight.
Right.
And that's what forced Nigeria to start exporting the crude to the US.
Yes. Indeed.
So you look at it now, the refineries were working. But by this report, when this report started working in 1974, by 1980s, those refineries stopped working completely.
Indeed.
Completely in the 1980s.
That's right.
And that's why
Nigeria
has to depend.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's why Nigeria had to depend on the US.
Yes.
The oil is from Nigeria, but the refined oil is coming from the US.
Yes.
So how will Nigeria develop?
That's right.
So
Thank you.
If you allow the country to have a functioning refinery from the 1970s up to the present time, then we'll be talking about another Nigeria, not this Nigeria we're talking about.
Well said. And I will probe you further in a moment, but I want to go back to Oyemi. And Oyemi, just if I put the same question to you, if I may, you are familiar with the notorious Henry Kissinger report, 1974, which looked and reviewed the implications for Africa developing its natural resources and the consequences for the United States. What say you in regards to this report? What opinion do you have on the report and its implication for Nigeria?
Yeah, thank you very much, and thanks, Barack, also. And I will always say that Kissinger report is just a loophole, and it's an open room for US to invade Nigeria and deprive them of so many resources that would have been a benefit to Nigerians to the US. Because the elites in Nigeria as at then, they failed to achieve or failed to defend their country to the full level. Why? Because we know we have so many resources from different states, and we have so many benefits from different states. And all these things will have been a part of the thing that will develop all these things and even the country itself. But because of the report that was allowed to carry it out, showcase and open all the resources that Nigeria is having to the US government. So from there, they decided to come into the country and take away their values from them, whether by force, by right, or by agreement. Because I can state some states, right? From the Niger Delta, we have rivers, we have Bayelsa Delta, that they were really providing us this oil and gas, which will have been our own benefits. If you go to all the states I mentioned now, they lack farming and they don't have anything growing in their states. Why? Due to the resources they have. And as of today, they are still laboring, suffering very hard before they can get their help. So the report has already come in and bringing a lot of damages to those states. Now, if we are talking about iron in oil, you have Kogi, Enugu, and even FCT. Those places, they have a very good iron that can, at the same time, add to the growth and infrastructure of the country. So when all these things, please go ahead.
No, so go ahead. I interrupted.
When all these things have been taken away, how do you think Nigeria would develop to the certain level that every citizen will benefit from their growth? So the report has already killed the country because it has exposed us to the people that really want to take away our values. That report focuses on their own interests, and it's a threat to the country as of today. So when we are talking about the good thing that we will have been benefiting now, US has been taking it. When Mubarak was talking, that he said all our refineries are not working. It will not be working. Why? Because they have already lied with the bad elites that we have then. And they believe their own benefit is more important than the citizens. So once the report is being carried out, they've already gone through it. They know all the location that we have all these good resources. Then they bring in their target. So when they have the location they want to aim at, then they know the one that is more best and better for them to even acquire as fast as they can. If the refinery has not been shut down, why or how are we going to say we are going to refine our oil outside Nigeria?
Yes. Well said. And thank you for that, both of you, that very clear analysis. In other words, the Americans in plain sight made it clear that they considered to be in their interests to ensure Nigeria's underdevelopment. And thereby not be an economic competitor to the United States of America. It is. I must say, when I read the report, although some decades ago, but more recently, I was shocked at how brazen the analysis was. I must say, I was shocked by the brazenness. But they were brazen because they believe that we are weak and therefore not in a position to respond. And it's it's that paradigm we need to change. But thank you, both of you, for that initial analysis. So that Kissinger report has set the tone for the preceding 40 to 50 years. Okay. But before we come to today, I want to ask you both another question. And I may go back to you, Mubarak. Libya, the destabilization of Libya.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. What does it mean? What did it really mean when I say that destabilization and its consequences? What do you understand it to mean?
All right, Martin, thank you for this great question. You see, Libya is a very strategic country here among the Maghreb countries, because if you look at Libya, even though it's not part of West African countries, it's part of the Maghreb countries.
Yes. Yes.
The destruction of Libya has changed the entire history of African countries, not only West Africa. Because if you look at Libya, because Libya is an oil-rich country, people having a good life in that country. People are placed on wages, monthly wages, that you cannot predict or say that there's a poverty in Libya, because I think there's no country in Africa that its citizens have enjoyed what they were supposed to enjoy, like the citizens of Libya.
Can you explain that again? Explain what you mean by that.
There is no citizen in Africa that enjoys the privileges that our citizens in Libya have enjoyed during the time of Muammar Gaddafi.
What privileges? Explain the privileges.
Yeah, because these are people who have been placed, the jobless citizens are placed on wages. We've been keeping monthly stipends that keep them alive. Government have taken a lot of responsibility of its citizens. They have a standard irrigation system that was used through the night, where irrigation farm is taking place. So I think the politics here is the Western countries are threatened by the initiative of Gaddafi in trying to unite the African countries. That's why calling for the establishment of United States of Africa.
Wow.
And this is a great threat that many Western countries will not allow such to happen. So the movement of establishing the United States of Africa has greatly shot a wave of shock to many of Western countries. And its destruction have become an opener that other long-serving presidents, more especially if you look at, we can even link it to the Arab Spring, that other countries have been shocked. But the far consequences is here in West Africa, most especially in Nigeria.
Mm-hmm.
The destruction of Libya is a destruction of Nigeria. Mm-hmm. Why? Because
can I ask you, I want you to forgive me for interrupting, because you're using some really key pointers here. You're asserting that the destruction of Libya was equally the destruction of Nigeria.
Exactly.
Explain why, just for the benefit of the
That's what I'm trying to make. That's the point I'm trying to make.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Because if you look at Libya strategically, I have told you that Nigeria doesn't have any border with Libya, but Nigeria has a very long border of over almost getting to 1,000 kilometers with the Niger Republic. If you look at from the northeastern part of Nigeria to the northwestern part of Nigeria, it's a very long border with the Niger Republic. In fact, even during this Trans-Saharan phase period, the trade that was taking place from the northern part of the country, it reaches up to Trablus and Tripoli. These are major commercial cities in Libya in the 17th and 18th centuries that have a direct connection with northern part of Nigeria. If you take traders from Kano to Maiduguri, they all traded up to Tripoli. And the slaves that were being taken from northern part of the country were taken to Tripoli. From Tripoli, these slaves found their ways to Middle East. You get me right?
Yes.
So the destruction of Libya is a destruction of Nigeria, because by the time Libya has fallen. By the time Libya falls, the bunker of the weapons that have found their way to Nigeria.
Yes.
And that's why Niger became the middle point of smuggling of these weapons to Nigeria.
Yes.
So not only the weapons, the illicit drug trade now got a lot of boom in this axis. I think last 2 weeks I was in the Niger Republic. I went to Maradi. Then we go further to Damagan. That is a state bordering Agadez. And Agadez was the state in the Niger Republic that bordered with Libya. And the issue of destruction of Libya have now proliferated the spread of arms and ammunition into Nigeria.
Yes.
That's why in 2011, when Gaddafi fell, then you take that was the peak period of the Boko Haram insurgencies.
Indeed.
That's why from the axis of northeastern part of Nigeria, in Yobe State, Borno State, that's where the weapons found themselves. And that's what the axis of Boko Haram. In fact, that's what the period when states were being put on emergency in the northeastern part of Nigeria.
Yes.
And if you come to from 2011 after the Gaddafi, 2012, then you have another set of the emergence of terrorists.
Yes.
Who were having a direct link with Libya, like western part of Nigeria.
Indeed.
So this issue of banditry, the question here is the amount of money. We know there were a lot of arms dealers who were making a lot of billions from smuggling weapons from Libya down to the states that bordered the Niger Republic in the northwestern part of Nigeria. You take it from Sokoto, you take Katsina here, where I'm staying here, you take up Kebbi, you take up Zamfara. Zamfara became the epicenter because that's where you have the kingpins of these terrorists controlling large gold mines. And these gold mines are being exchanged with weapons. There is no state in Nigeria that has the large deposit of gold like that of Zamfara State.
Yeah, if I may, I could ask you to pause there because you are 100% correct. I just 100%. I just want to make sure I give equal time to each party, but you are 100% correct. The destabilization of Libya means that one of the Africa's wealthiest states, it's collapsed, fractured the economic stability across that part of Africa. That is, those trade linkages, the investment flows that could have served a broader continental development, projects such as those Pan-Africanist projects to integrate countries across the continent, did not happen because Libya was invaded by the Americans, or NATO, but essentially by the Americans, destabilized in the most awful manner, and to date has been a source of Islamist insurgence across the Sahara, to the Sahel states, to West Africa and beyond, because they now control the natural resources. Some of those countries, as you mentioned, oil. So you mentioned gold. I could mention uranium and other important minerals that the world requires. So this is the Americans using NATO to bomb Libya into submission. Can I ask Odiyeme, do you agree with that analysis?
Yeah, thank you very much. Yes, I think I agree with that. Because the destruction of Libya started from the interest of US, like I said earlier. And at the same time, when we want to talk about Libya and Nigeria, we talk about the population first. The value you have with the population in your country determines how the economy will grow. They have less numbers, less population, and what they have should be enough for them to take care or to cater for any citizens in the country. But economic-wise, things have been taken over, and that's why when Mubarak was talking about the let me call them the lazy citizens in the country, that they were being given some stipends to take care of themselves so that they won't become another liability to the environment they belong to. And that is how it's supposed to be in every country with all these good resources, because you must have a value for your citizens. So when the US government and the exposure come to them also, they were being deprived of all these things. Why? Because what they are gaining is not even enough for them to even spread across the country. So that's one of the things that makes me support what Mubarak has said, that this is just one of the value that that the Libya also has been deprived of. Well, we now talk about the unity that is taken away from them, because US believe that if Libya or any African country is being united in their own country, then Africa will not be this demoralized. Because once there's unity in a country, let me tell you, for any other country to invade the country will be very difficult. So the first value that has been taken away from both Nigeria and Libya is their unity.
Indeed.
So the unity has been taken away. So that's why once we are being devastated, we have been scattered, then this one will be exposing what they have, the other one will expose what they have. Then those people that want to take it away from you will be there. So it is still the same thing that the Kasinga report has already damaged so many countries. So I really support what Mubarak has said. Yes, I really support that.
Thank you.
Because the boundary between Nigeria and Niger has really bring even I'm being worried about the dressing from the northern part of Nigeria and the Niger has been very, very close, to the extent that it will be difficult for you to know the difference from the Nigerians and them, because they dress alike.
Yes,
they do things very close. So all these things has given them room to come into this country and make a have a very good relationship with all the sorry to use that word, with all the elites and the elders we have from the northern part of the country. And they have been giving them reasons that, okay, if I give you this ammunition, you will give me this in return. So they are make a trade by barter dialogue so that they can at least invade our country. And today, they are one of the problems we are having. So to be honest, I support what Mubarak has said.
Absolutely. It's very clear on, again, the country behind this. So the Kissinger report, it was an American report and assessing American interests for America. As the 47th president might say, America first. Doesn't care about anyone else. Crazy, huh?
We assembled here today are issuing a new decree to be heard in every city, in every foreign capital, and in every hall of power. From this day forward, a new vision will govern our land. From this day forward, it's going to be only America first. America first.
Okay. And of course, the destabilization of Libya, again, NATO, but ultimately led by America, instigation. America is behind this. Again, it's amazing that I'm saying again, America is the villain here.
Yes, you're right. And that's one of the reasons why they take Gaddafi to be the terrorist.
Indeed.
Yes.
We're not going to refer to Gaddafi here as a terrorist. Okay, that is not going to happen. What I will be doing as part of the final version of this interview is to show, as has been alluded by Mubarak, that in fact there are many privileges. If you were a Libyan, you living under his rule, that the majority of people had a right to housing, a right to education, a right to good health care. Yeah? Can you imagine? A right to good, fresh, clean, safe water. You know, these were innate rights that all Libyans possessed whilst Gaddafi was in power. Can you imagine if such innate rights were given to all Africans by their nation states? What a transformation would occur in Mother Africa. Oh my gosh. I want to take you both now to my next question. Because we've looked at the Kissinger report, we've looked at the invasion and destruction of Libya and its consequences. Let's talk about those consequences further. And I just want to give a disclaimer here that I'm not Islamic, okay, and therefore what we say in regards to Islam in this context should not be interpreted as a desire and dislike of Islam. Okay, I think that's important to say at this point. But I'm bound to note, of course, one of the reasons for Americans, with the agreement of the Nigerian government, I might add, bombing northern Nigeria, was, of course, to mitigate the impact of the ISIS or Islamic State or Boko Haram insurgency mainly in the northeast, northwest states of Nigeria. Okay. My first question to you both, I did want to, just again to help the audience to better understand its implications. Which of the many communities that are found in these states are mainly affected by the insurgents' activities, which is effectively killing and maiming and kidnapping? Which communities are mainly affected? Amanda Mubarak, are you aware of which communities are mainly affected by these Islamic insurgencies into northern Nigeria? Are you aware, Mubarak?
Yeah, thank you very much. As for me, I don't want to believe Islamic is the main problem.
Okay, good. Agreed.
Yes, I don't want to believe. And my reasons is this. Like I said earlier, I talked about the dressing, and that's one of the main things that takes me there the other time. Everybody would like to disguise whenever they want to perpetrate any evil.
Mm-hmm.
But the truth is, how many of them have we really get our hands on and discover they are truly a Islamic member?
Okay.
Because the foundation of ISI is actually an Islamic Iraqian societies. And when the evil is coming, it comes through the north. And that's why, and the angle they comes in, and we in the West believe they are Muslims, and most of the attacks is on the Christians. So as for me, I believe our investigation has not really give us the actual picture of the religions all these people carrying this thing out belongs to. That's one.
So, okay, all right. Continue. What's your? Are you saying, in effect, that for the Americans to state that the bombings were in support of the Christian community is not a truthful explanation? And what I believe you're saying, these are bandits. That these are armed gangs taking advantage of weak governance, which means in this case the relatively weak defense force, Nigerian army, not being able to defend their borders. Is that what you say? These are not religious insurgents; these are actually armed bandits, outlawed, as it were. Is that what you
exactly? That's the angle I'm coming out from, because I want to state some analysis. Like, if we have a good security in your country, we should be able to defend wherever position, whatever angle we are holding. And the bombing, actually, to me, is not to the interest of this Christianity. The promise that was made is they are sending people down, not that they are going to bomb us. So you can see that it's on a two different sides, that this American bombing is for their own interest and for them to be invited or having another dialogue with them, because we don't know what they have been dragging on the ground. Donald Trump promised to come to Nigeria and see for himself why the bombing and all this is up. I mean, why the kidnapping and the killing and all this is up. But the next thing we see as citizens of the country is the bombing. These are two different things. There is no relationship between visiting the country and fighting them directly from your own head.
Forgive me, just so I'm clear then. So my analysis of what you're describing is that these are not religious insurgents. These are simply bandits, outlaws, people, these are people or criminals. They're the ones that are impacting the northern communities of Nigeria primarily. Is that right? Is that the correct analysis, or not? Or you say something different?
No, not really. Because what I'm saying now is I'm trying to break it down to the politics aspect.
Okay.
Because they have been bringing politics into our lifestyle. You know, when they are playing their games, all of us are not there. We don't know the discussion, the agreements, and what they are getting into. But the only thing that we always listen to is the news that because of this will happen. And when that is not happening, then we are seeing another side of it. Then we need to question the government why this is happening, because our government has not been protective to the extent that we know that yes, whatever they are doing behind us is for us. Many of us are not in the view and the discussion or the agreement they have been making all this while. But the only thing we only listen to, or what we hear from our newspaper or read around, is this is going to happen, without any explanation. So I believe trying to check and go deeper into this thing, we get to understand what is really happening. It is right for us to question them.
But the communities primarily affected by the insurgents, if I use that term for the moment, or bandits, or whatever you like to describe, okay, which of the communities are mainly being affected?
Yeah, mostly.
Are you referring to me?
Mubarak, just hold on to my Mubarak, we'll come right back to you. But which communities are actually being affected?
Mostly in northern part.
And what communities are there in the northern part? Is it primarily Hausa people, Fulani, or if I understand?
Oh, both. Hausa, Fulani, all of them they have already tasted out of this hardship. Both. And it is of recent that is now coming down to the east. Because there in the west, what we mainly here understand is the kidnapping mostly, not the killing. But recently, like a year, 2 years back, now we are experiencing the killing, kidnapping, bombing, and all that.
Yes. Okay. I understand now. So primarily, the first communities that have been affected are the Hausa communities in the northern states, okay, and that's again the northeast and northwest, and now increasingly the states further south and east, the Christian dominated states, Igbo states, if you like, are now being affected, which is where organizations such as NINAS or indeed IBOP have been resisting many of these banditry insurgents that have occurred. This is, and that's much clearer, you see, that's much clearer understanding. Says you're asserting that these are fundamentally bandits, these are criminals, outlaws, who've been funded by criminals and outlaws, which ultimately come from the north of Africa, primarily from Libya, since the destruction of and destabilization of the Libyan state. Would that be a reasonable summary?
Yeah.
Okay. If I may, in that case, then I want to go over to Mubarak. Can you hear us all right, Mubarak?
Well, thank you, Martins, and thank you, Olaimi. Olaimi has given a very good insight on this.
Okay.
I appreciate his effort on that. Well, if you apply this same question to me, I can say that, you see, first we need to differentiate the categories of these elements and where they are operating. If you take the Boko Haram, the ISIS, these are terrorists who are operating in the northeastern part of Nigeria.
Yes.
Then when you talk about the northwestern part of Nigeria, you have the bandits.
Yes.
But the bandits have now gradually, got a kind of collaboration with another terrorist group called the Lakurawa. The Lakurawa are some of these terrorists who are now, they infiltrated some part of the northwestern part of Nigeria. And if you take it, for example, I think this issue of terrorism, you see, there are some certain situations whereby, terrorists try to use or do something that will attract the attention of either the government or even the world entirely. That's why when you have the Boko Haram kidnapping 290-something girls in 2014,
I remember, yes, very well, yes.
They captured more than half of those girls were Christians. Despite the fact that there are Muslim girls among them, but more than half of them are Christians. And that sends another dynamics of how they try to use divisive means of religious, terrorism. And if you asked the context of this radical element, if you ask any race responsible Muslim, will tell you that he has never read this in the books. So you ask yourself, where does these people go their religion of radicalism? So if you go to the Northeast, you realize that the larger percentage of the victims are the people in those areas, more especially the Kanuris themselves, the Hausa people living there, the Bolawa, the Margi, all the Babur, all these tribes that were living in the northern part of the country are the communities in the issue of ISIS and Boko Haram are both the Muslims and the Christians there. Because you find a situation whereby Christians, women were being kidnapped and were being forced to combat to Muslims. You find Muslims, girls who were being kidnapped, at the same time married as jihad brides. Because I remember during my fieldwork, during my PhD in 2023, I went to my degree and carried out a fieldwork research there. I was able to interview some certain women peace builders who were engaged into these activities of radicalization, rehabilitation, and reintegration of these victims. So I got a lot of data from them and how they were able to see how they were able to rehabilitate a very long list of young girls who refuses to agree with this ideology. Then if you come down to the northwest, in 2014, again, there was a bomb blast in Kano, in the mosque, whereby over 200 people lost their lives in the mosque.
Yes, that's right.
You see, you come and see how flesh of human being in the northeastern part of Nigeria, and come down to Kano in the northwest and planted bombs inside the mosque of the emir of Kano. And some of these terrorists went and blocked the gate so that people cannot go out and start shooting again. So that is it. So the victims are from all angles. So you have the victim from the Christian side, you have the victim from the Muslim side. But the larger percentage are the Hausa people who were living with the Fulani bandit here.
That's right.
The bandits have kidnapped more than any other tribe, any other ethnic than the Hausa people who are living. They have kidnapped more than what? In fact, they have wrecked billions of dollars when it comes to issue of payment for ransom. And these are people centuries. They have been engaged in even separate a housing them what? The House of Fulani. This is of this terrorism of this bandit. The Fulani people started among themselves. They started rustling kettles for those people who refused to join them. After finishing those, then sadly, I was saying that the issue of banditry in the northwestern part of the country, the Hausa and the Fulani, because the Fulani and the Hausa people have been engaged in intermarriages, in intergroup relations for many centuries. And this cattle rustling started within the Fulani themselves, then later on extended into the Hausa people. And later on, continue with the lucrative kidnapping crime. Because the kidnapping have break in trillions. These have been written on many papers. So the extension of this issue of kidnapping in the north central part of Nigeria, that's why we have the Christian minorities in the north central part of the country. And for the kidnappers to have, because I can tell you this, that the Christian in Nigeria have a very big voice. That's why by the time we attack the Christians, the entire world will know that Christians have been attacked. So by the time the bandits attack on Christian settlement, the Christians will not allow that to happen, because the Hausa people have not been meticulous in keeping record of the killings that is happening within their communities. But the Christian communities were able to document the people they lost. That's why when the Reverend Father went to the US Congress and said that Christians are being persecuted in Nigeria, there was a very diversionary views. I reported Nigeria. When we Hausa people were also being killed, the question here is, have the Hausa people document the number of their people being killed by this bandit? The answer is no. So that's why the debate is coming up now. And for the airstrike of the US in Nigeria, I think I will also go in line with what Nigerians say. This is politics. Because some people will tell you that there are other issues that are beneath this issue of airstrike. Because even the airstrike that was carried out by US, not to go to the terrorist enclaves in the northeast, where the Boko Haram have been taking a lot of territories. Yes. Then we expect the US airstrike to go to the terrorist bandit enclave here in northwestern part of the country, because these terrorists, their enclaves is identified. Everybody knows where airstrike was put in some of the villages' farms. In fact, some people were even shown on the video playing with the scraps of the bombs. So, if you take Kwara, for example, where this issue is now trying to get the entry point to the southwest, the place where this bomb was set was in a hotel.
Right.
So seriously, even though it was a joint agreement, a joint operation with the Nigerian government, there was serious misplacement or serious gap in the operation. Let me tell you,
ask you to pause there. Just to pause just there.
The Nigerian authorities and the Nigerian military knows where these terrorists are living. Why can't they take this war to the terrorist enclave?
Mubarak, can I ask you to pause there?
If they take this war to the terrorist enclave, this thing will go within a short time. But
right.
you can't be doing hide and seek in the fight of terrorism. You take it to the enclave, take the war to their doorstep.
Yes. Mubarak, can I just ask a question of you? Just so we're
okay,
clear.
I can hear.
Recently, the American bombed northern Nigeria, northwest and northeast Nigeria, with the Nigerian government agreement. And this was, of course, against the ISIS, Islamic State, Boko Haram insurgent. Now, the 47th president, I prefer to refer to him as that, the 47th president and his Secretary of State framed the strike as defending Nigeria's Christian communities. Did the American president accurately explain the reasons for the military action? How would you respond to that?
I think it wasn't explained accurately.
Yes, I think you have. Yes. Yes, I think you have. I said you've anticipated my next question, you see. So, indeed.
Yeah, it wasn't explained. It wasn't explained accurately, seriously. It wasn't explained accurately. Because, first of all, I'm on the view that the invitation of the US president on this airstrike is a clear violation of the Nigerian sovereignty.
Ooh, explain.
It's a shame for the Nigerian government. Yeah, exactly. It's a shame for the Nigerian government to undermine its ability of its military to fight these internal issues than inviting another foreign country. So the sovereignty is totally undermined.
Yes.
These are things that when you fight corruption, the Nigerian military will fight this terrorism. So corruption is the major issue in the fight of the terrorism in Nigeria. Because we have never had a situation whereby government is injecting billions of nairas, billions of dollars in the fight against terrorism like this time around. From the Buhari's government to Tinubu's government, the government have been pumping a lot of money into the fight against terrorism, but no result is showing. That means there's something wrong there. The corruption is there. There is no political will in the fight against terrorism. So inviting a foreign country seriously undermine the Nigerian sovereignty. In this country, the military will ask themselves, what are they doing? That a foreign country will come to fight an internal issue, not with an international in another country. It's an internal issue. So what I'm saying here is that
yes,
the invitation of the U.S. president that Christians are being killed, that is totally untrue. I've told you in my previous submission that both Muslims and Christians are victims of terrorism.
Indeed.
All victims of terrorism.
Well said.
So,
can I ask you to pause there? Can I ask you to pause there?
The government are trying to play politics with the Trump's policies.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Can I ask you just to pause there for a moment, please? I need to bring Oriyemi into this. We've not heard from him for a little while now. Oriyemi, how do you respond to my question in the way in which the 47 presidents and the Secretary of State framed the strikes defending Nigerian Christian communities? Did the American president accurately explain the rationale, the reason for their military action? Oriyemi.
Thank you very much. Maybe in the days to come, the U.S. president will give us that reason, because I think till now they have not really responded to anything. And as what Mubarak has said, if Nigeria fail to take their stand, more is still coming.
Mm-hmm.
In the sense that they will believe they are defending us, and we are reducing in population gradually.
Yes.
Because before you can decide to make a strike to any country, there must be a crucial reason for such a thing to happen.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And as of now, I don't believe bombing is the next thing. If there is any group misunderstanding, group issues, or group problem, let whatever that will come between them comes between them, not from an outsider. That means there is more to what has happened that we have not yet understand, and we need to go far. We need to ask questions, and this needs to be revealed to us.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Because if we fold our hands the way Nigerians are always doing, like it's not of my business, I'm less concerned, it has not happened to my region, or nothing happens, then it's coming to your region any moment.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So at this point in time, Nigeria need to take themselves out of their egos, because I believe there are so many egos within the country.
Yes,
even the 47s, they cannot come out there and tell me this is what happened. So I've been around. I might not really go far outside the Nigeria, but at the same time, there are so many things that I've seen, experienced, and understood today that we need to come back. Let's go back to our foundation, because our foundation will give us solution to the problem that is coming up from.
Right.
So forget that I'm from the north, forget that I'm from the west, forget that I'm from the east. Let us come back and unite, because the unity that has been taken away from us needs to be revived. That is where we can sit together and ask questions.
Absolutely.
That will get a clear answer to us.
In unity is strength. Okay. I think that's pretty clear. Both your responses are pretty clear that the 47 president did not accurately explain the reason for the military action. Quite clearly was not to defend Christian communities. Okay, I think that's an interesting analysis from Nigerians themselves, not through these big multi-billion-pound corporations, Now, I'm interested. I'm interested that you discuss these matters, because in my studies, there you are. I'm pausing it there, as you could see, and it became even more exciting as time progressed. Let me tell you, it became even more exciting, and trust me, this is just the first part of that interview. It goes on for another hour or so. So it will be part of a podcast series that will be posted on Wednesday. But I've paused at this point because the actions of America is now again in the international spotlight. I understand that there are live reports of American invasion in Venezuela, and that President Maduro and his wife have been taken out of the country. Can you imagine? Oh my gosh. Can you imagine a country doing the same to the United States of America? Huh? Well, I'm reporting to you live. It has happened. And clearly, this 47th president isn't satisfied in applying American values and imposing them on other people. I'll say no more on his values and his personal circumstances, but let it sink in for a moment. It has been reported, and I most probably will, on another podcast, provide you with further details what is actually happening, but from the perspective of people on the ground, of not filtered through the big media corporations. Okay. But I hope you'll agree, returning to the bombing of Nigeria, that what you've heard are some important statements. Statements such as to involve foreign powers in the internal affairs of Nigeria is in effect to give up Nigerian sovereignty, yeah? To undermine the Nigerian armed forces. The destruction and destabilization of Libya was equally the destruction and destabilization of Nigeria. Because where do these bandits, these outlaws, these criminals head towards? Where they perceive to be rich picking, the natural resources. They control gold mines, uranium mines, yeah? Copper, silver, lithium. That is what was released once you destabilize a country such as Libya. As the Sahel states, Nigeria is now catching the full force of that dastardly act. What was further said? That in fact, the people most affected by these insurgencies, I'm referring to it insurgencies, these bandits, these criminals, these outlaws, are Muslim communities in the main. Christian communities are absolutely affected, but Muslim communities are primarily being affected because they are primarily in the northern parts of Nigeria. These are lessons we're discovering here, which doesn't arise in these general discourse or discussions that we have in these other media platforms. But you receive the information from the people's mouths, those who feel it know it. Mm-hmm. And there's many other gems which will arise in the podcast, which will be posted on Wednesday. So if in doubt, ask questions. You've got questions for us, questions that you feel have not been responded to yet. Why don't you send us a message through on the Motivator Show, 501@gmail.com. That's the email address. The Motivator Show, 501@gmail.com. Love to hear from you. A lot is happening. This is 2026. We are going to cover this in detail. And I'm assuring you, we will ensure information shared with you is checked, verified to ensure accuracy. Therefore, you can trust what you hear here. Right. But for now, what we will say to you is that if you haven't watched our other podcasts or other shows, go to our YouTube channel. Okay. And if you haven't subscribed, we urge you to do so. It simply tells the YouTube algorithm that, in fact, this channel is providing information that should be shared with other YouTube subscribers. And it's free to subscribe. It's free. There you are. And look, if you subscribe, don't forget to press the notification button, okay, so that you are notified when we post a next a next podcast for you. That's the bell. You see it there on the screen. Okay, there you are. All righty. I think that's enough for one session. Okay. A great deal has happened during this particular show, the first show of 2026. And this week, we're likely to post these 2 shows before our next live show. So watch this space, spread the word. The Motivator Show, because this is where we translate our words into action and where success is ours for the taking, because it's very much a mindset. All righty. Be good to yourselves, be good to others, and together we will transform the world. Thank you.